Hello and welcome back to another video from TrainingRite.com. This time we'll be talking about environment variables. What are environment variables? When do you use it? And more importantly, how do you use it? For that, let's open our QTP and let's take a look into any one of the projects. Or better yet, if we can start with a new one, so that I could quickly show you how it is done, and then in fact we're going to go and open an existing one and then put it to use. All right, what we're talking about with environment variables is like global variables, meaning that you can assign a value into that variable and then use that variable into any action. Right? In a test, you could have multiple actions, so you could be using it, in any one of those actions. Now, if we have to see as where we could create those environment variables, you could be going into right-click on test and then go into settings, and here you see over here you see the environment. When you go in the environment, you'll see that okay, there are two types of environment variables. There's something called a built-in environment variables, and then there's something called a user-defined. Right now, the user-defined are empty because we have not created any yet. So let's take a look into first of all, let's take a look into some of these built-in environment variables. Let's say for whatever reason, if you need to use OS or OS version, or there are some more like, say for instance, test directory, right? If you want to use these, or test name, if you want to use these variables, and the way you can be using these environment variables is by just going in here and typing environment, and in there we would be saying, what was that, OS. So let's do OS, right? In this one, let's say either I could print it to an external window, print window, or I could use what is called a message box, right? So let's go ahead and then run this and see what it does. As you can see, it comes back and it says that okay, the operating system is workstation. All right, so that's what it is giving us. Now let's go and do another one. So I'm gonna just copy paste this, Control C, and I'm gonna come to the next line and say OS version, right? So these are like built-in ones, right? So I'm gonna run that. The first one is gonna give me my workstation, and the second one is going to give me 6.1.7601. That seems to be like the version of the OS. Now, there were some more, right? There were something like test name, was that? And then there was like test directory. I don't know if there was like a test name, but test dir. Now let's see if there was a test name. I think there was something called just the test. Okay, we come here to environment, and let's go down here, test directory, and then there is something called test name. Yes. Okay. Now test name, as you can see here, is test. If I change this test name, if I rename this test name to something else, right? Then we can pull that name, right? For now, I'm just gonna run it and see what's gonna come up. First message box is workstation, second is the version, third one is the test, and the fourth one is the test directory. There's a temporary directory where it is saying that the tests are going to run. Okay, so these are some of the built-in or kind of like system environment variables. Now, how about user-defined? Can I just create a variable on the fly? Can I say environment, in here, just say like some variable. I want to put a value into it. Let's say trainer, right? Okay, so I want to see what it is going to spit out. First of all, is it going to compile? Is it going to run, or is it going to give me an error? All right, there you go. It gives me an error. It says that the trainer parameter, right, or the environment parameter with the name trainer was not found. Confirm that an environment parameter with this name is defined, or specify another environment variable. Right? Okay, so I'm going to stop that. So since it is not defined, I have to go and then define it. Where am I going to go and then define this what is called user-defined environment variable? Again, as you might have guessed, right-click on that, go into settings, and then go into environment, and then there, rather than saying built-in, I'm going to say user-defined. And I'm going to go and then click on this plus. When I click on this plus, this is where you're going to give it a name. So the name is trainer. And if you want to give it a value, you could give it a value called F1 and do that. And this is your name value, and the type is internal. Now, in a bit, I'm going to talk about external variables, environment variables, as that. Like what are those external environment variables? For now, let's focus on this internal one. I could, since I'm here, let me just go here and then create some more. Let's say this is the app results, right? App results is one of them. Right now, let's say I'm going to put a value of 0 into it, right? And I could also go and then let's do one more. Let's say that is search text, right? And right now, I would say, let's say TrainingRite.com. All right. Okay. So these are the three environment variables, user-defined variables, which I have created. All right. I'm going to say apply. Okay. Now I'm going to go back and then use them in my test, in my action. App results, search text, and trainer. Trainer we already have. Now let me see if I could just copy and go ahead and then do app results here. And the other one was search text, right? So let me see what search text gives me. Okay, so these are the three. I'm just, since we declared them there, I want to see, what values they hold right now. So when I run that, the first one, because the first three I have commented, so this is trainer is Irfan, and app results is 0. Search text is TrainingRite.com. All right. Okay. Well and good. Now let's say, okay, so far so good. What we have is we know as how to create environment variables, user-defined environment variables, and we also know as how to read what is called the built-in environment variables. Now, for a built-in environment variable, can I assign a value into it? Let's say if I take this, right, and if I copy that, and if I want to assign something to it, that's the variable. Let me assign test name is this is new test. So now the question is, can you assign? Now the question is, can you assign, while we are running the test, can you assign a value to an environment variable, which is like a built-in environment variable, right? The answer to that is actually no, right? But let us prove it to ourselves. By the way, I just want to say that message box, right? So this is the value from the trainer environment variable, right? I just want to say that so that we know that, okay, we are returning that. I can pretty much take that and copy, and this I can put it in here. That becomes a little user friendly, I guess. This is the app results, and likewise, I could say the same here. And this is for the search text, right? This is for the search text. Okay, good. Let me just run that and see what it happens now. It says that this is the value from the trainer environment variable, and the value is Irfan. Okay. Number 2, this is the value from the app results env variable, environment variable, which is 0. Okay, good. This is the value from the search text environment variable. The value is TrainingRite. Now let's see what happens. Is it going to give me an error, or is it going to just end the test? Let's see how many of you think that it's going to give me an error. Yes, it's going to give you an error. There it is. The error is test name is a built-in or external environment. It's not an external, it's a built-in, right? It's a built-in. You cannot modify its value, right? So we cannot do that. So interview question. If you have a built-in environment variable, can you change the value of that? You don't even have to think twice. The answer is no. So I would say you cannot change the values of the built-in environment variable. Another interview question. Give us some of the environment variables you know, right? You cannot change the values of. Okay, so the question is, give me some of the built-in environment variables which you know. Okay, answer: OS version, test name, test directory. Well, they're all here, right? You don't remember them, right? So, but I mean, if you go in there and then take a look, you would know. So I want you to at least remember 5 of them, right? If not all, at least 5 of them, so that you could talk about it. Like there is something called an action name. Let me just go ahead and see if we could rename this action properties. So here is the action. I'm gonna call this env environment variables demo action 1. Okay, so this is a reusable action, therefore may be called by the other test. Renaming this might cause the other test to call it to fail. Are you sure you want to rename this action? Yes, sir. Okay, now I'm going to talk about what is a reusable action, what are the different types of actions and all that. I'm going to talk about that in the next video. Right now, let's focus on that. So let us return this name of that. If you have to call, or if you have to find out somewhere, if you have to report that in my this action, I have this many errors or something like that. So if you have to read the name of the action, so how do you read the name of the action? So environment variables to your rescue. All right, this is my current or this is my current actions name, right? Okay, how do I do that? Environment variable, environment in parenthesis, and this is the action name, right? Okay, so this should return the environment variables demo action. All right, okay, now let's see, run that. Okay, value from environment variable app results, search text. Okay, this is my current actions name, and the name is env variables demo action 1, right? Okay, so we know now that that's that. Now let's say I have to put the name of this action in my report, right? In my report, when I run my report, somewhere here I have to say something in here and put the action. So how do I do that? From my previous recordings, if you have seen that, reporter dot report event, and this is, let's say, done, right? And comma, right? And this is something, report step name, right? You could say step um, um, 11, right? And this is your details. In the details, I want to put this, right? Action name. So I can just go ahead and then put this action name and say, right, this action name, right, this action name, which is environment demo action 1, ran successfully, right? Okay, now let's see if that happens. So I'm just gonna go and then run that, do that, that, and then the report did end. Now let's go and then take a look in here and see if that happened, right? So let us go expand that, and step 11, here it is. So the name got in here. That environment variables demo action 1 ran successfully, right? How did we put that? That came from the, because I just used in the English word ran successfully, but this came from someplace, right? Where did it came from? So it came from the environment action name, and ran successfully was that. And I use step 11 to report, and I just said that as done. All right. So so far so good. We talked about how to create environment variables, and we looked into the possibility of creating some of our own and putting assigning some values into it, and then reading those values and all that. Now let us go and talk about the different type of environment variables. If you go in here, go into environment, we know that there are built-in and then there are user-defined, and in user-defined there is something called internal, and then there is, if there is an internal, my guess is there is an external, right? Okay, now let's see how we get the external variables, right? What are external variables and how do we get that? Okay, for us to understand the external variables, let us take these variables, and try to export them, right? Now, when you export, if you read this, when you export, it says that click to export the user-defined environment variables to an XML file, right? So when you export, depending on how many environment variables you have, they all get placed into an XML file, and you could save it into your file system. Now, if you come back with the question of what is an XML file and all that, well, that's a topic for another day. But quickly, you will see now how it looks like, right? I mean, basically, any XML file is something like this. Let me just draw something and then show it to you. I am trying to open my sketchpad so that I could draw and then show it to you guys. What is XML? XML is the default way these days to store data or exchange data. Not like large amount of data, but the data which you want to share between the applications. So the way XML is, it is basically it is inside these angle brackets. So let's say if I want to talk about this company, right? So there will be, let's say, I'll just say training, and I'll say end of training. That means that when you this is called the root element. So you will have an open tag, close tag, and if you use whatever you use here, you have to end that. So I ended it, right? Now in the training, let's say we are talking about TrainingRite.com. In training, there are courses, right? So I would say course name, right? And this is QTP, right? And end of course name. So it's all about data. So QTP is data, but data is put into what is called elements, right? Meaningful elements. So this is one data. Like that, I could have another data, course name. Now, if you want to have something else in there, that can be basically another course, which is Selenium, right? And end of course name. Now this is one way of doing your XML, right? So where you are saying that, okay, I will have an opening tag and a closing tag. Now, if you're talking about any XML documents, basically you have to know that XML documents must be well formed. What do you mean by well formed? That means that they have certain rules which they have to follow. Rule number A is, if you open a tag, if you open an element, you have to close that element. Open, close. If you open an element, you have to close that element. So we open this element here, we close that element here. We open this course name element here. With this sign, I close that element there. I close that. So I open this course name, I close that, right? So that's one rule. Second rule is, it is, your elements, all your elements are case sensitive, meaning that if you have this uppercase course name, you cannot close this as a course name as an lowercase n. It will throw an error. So it has to be the way you created this. It has to be like that, right? So this is one of the XML document. There's another XML. The same document can be extended, and that is, let's say, if I go the same, let's say I was talking about the course name, right? Course name. So I could say course name, right? And do end of course name, right? And here I could say two things about it. Name is QTP, end of name, right? And duration is 6 weeks, end of duration. So I can say as many things as I want about a particular course, right? So course name, the name is that, duration is that. I could have one more, right? Whatever I want. So likewise, in our environment variables, we will have something like environment here. If I open environment, and I have to close the environment. Now this file gets generated automatically. Then you will have name value pairs, right? Why am I doing this here? Why don't I just show it to you? Okay, so let me just show it to you. To show it to you, I will get out here. Okay, so here we are. We are going to, these are my 3 variables, environment variables. Let me export them. When I click on it, let's see what happened here. Doing something here. Okay, let me just get out. Go back in here, right click, go into settings. Oh, I know what happened. Okay, my sketchpad, that's a tablet which is attached to it. So I put my my pen on top of that, so that's why it was getting the error. Okay, we come in here. Now we go in here, we UserDefined, and I go into export. When I go into export, it is saying, okay, where do you want to save it? So this box comes up and says, okay, where do you want to save it? And let's say if I want to save it into a folder called QTP training, so I go into my C drive. I go into my C drive, and there's a folder for me there called QTP training. QTP training. Here I want to save this as external, or I shouldn't be saying external. I should be saying environment variables, some name, right? So I'm just saying that demo environment environment variables demo, right? Okay, now environment variables demo, this is the name of the file I am saving into my QTP training. So let's go. I saved that, right? I saved that, and I'll hit OK. Now let me go to my file system and try to see if it got generated there, and if it got generated, how does it look like? So here I am into my QTP training and environment variables demo. How can I open it? Because it's an XML file. How can I open it? I can open it in Notepad. So I right click on that, open with Notepad, Notepad. And once I do that, and there you go. This is what I was talking about. We have, or let me just keep it like that, and just make it a little bigger by going into my format, my font, and I'll try to make it like 20. All right. Okay, now it is better for the eyes, I guess. Okay, here it is. Okay, so the environment root element begins, environment root element ends. Okay, all right. Okay, so now in there I have a variable. This is the environment variable. What is the name of the environment variable? App results, right? And what is the value of that? 0. And I'm done with the first environment variable. So this is my first environment variable. Now, if you understand this, the next part is just the repeat of the same. So you have basically environment variable, environment, and end of environment, and then you have variable and end of variable. This keeps repeating, and between the variable and end of variable, you have name value. So here also you have, this is, if you see here, variable. This is variable start, and this is variable end, and this is, and in there I have this name, and I have this value, right? I have this value, name value, and then the third one is that name is trainer, and this is value, right? Okay, so this is how an XML file looks like, and this is the environment variables which we have exported from QTP onto the file system. Let's say if we have to create one. I mean, I can if I want to create one, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna take that part so that I don't type. Okay, do you want to save it? Yeah. Okay. Now I want to create one, right? I want to create one. So I can open my Notepad. I can open my Notepad, and this is the empty Notepad. And here I will type environment, right? And this is end of environment, right? Okay. Between environment and end of environment, what do I have to have? I have to have variable, right? Now variable, and then I have end of variable, and inside this variable we had what? Name, right? And name is the name of the new environment variable. So I might call it like company name, right? Or company, just the or rather the name of the variable is company name, right? End of name, and the value is TrainingRite.com and end of value, right? Okay, so this is going to be one. This is going to be one environment variable, external environment variable, which we have created, right? Okay, now I just want to match it so that I know, because it is case sensitive, right? I just want to match it with what we copied, and it was like we were supposed to have environment, we have the environment, right? That's good. We were supposed to have variable, we have variable. We're supposed to have name, we have name. We're supposed to have end of name, we had end of name. Likewise value, end of value. So I am perfectly all right. So this is only one one environment variable. So I control C, I copy, and I try to put one more in there. And this is like company address, right? And company address, and this is, I would say, New York. All right. Okay, so we have two environment variables in our file, right? So let us save this file. So I'm going to do a file, save as, and where do I want to save? I want to save into my C drive, into my training, into my QTP training folder, QTP training, and I want to save it as training company profile, right? So I'll start with env, environment variable training company profile, and please make sure that you go and then you select all files, and here it has to be an XML file, so .xml. So in the save as type all files, and here env training company profile .xml, and I save it. Okay, so I close that, and I come back into QTP, and I will try to bring that external variables inside my test. So I right click on that, go into settings, and go into my environment, and go into my UserDefined, and I have to, these are all internal, right? I have to bring in the external. So how can I bring in the external? Here, load variables and values from external file. So I check that, and I will click on that, and then it'll take me, okay, it took me to QTP training, and here I have to get that file. So this is the env training company profile, right? So I'm just gonna go and then get that. It is giving me some instruction. Do you want to add the relative path and all that? You say just yes. Okay, once you do that, here it is, the one in blue color. As you can see, company address is New York, company name is TrainingRite.com, and external. This, it brought that in here. The environment variables are in here. So I say apply. Now in real life, your manager can give you a file, an XML file, wherein you have all the tests which you have to like execute, let's say. So he's going to give you some data in that. So you have to bring in that external data into your test case. And the way you're going to bring the external data into your test, into your action, is just how I showed it to you. If he gives it to you in the form of an XML file, you just load it here as an environment variables, and then all of them would come in here. So you would have like a user name, password, or you will have like test assigned to, and it would be like your name there, due date by this date, it will be some date in there. So it's basically some data. So you are bringing in the external data into here. So this is the mechanism of how to bring the external data in here. And now once you have that data in here, now how are you going to bring the data into the test? If I have to bring, that's easy. We have to do what? Environment, right? And I have to remember now the environment variable, external environment variable. That was what? Company name was one, right? And so I want to, let's say, message box. This is the company we are doing automation testing for, right? So this is going to be the client, let's say. So where is the information of the client? It is sitting in the XML file. We brought it in there. Now we want the location of that. Easy. So being lazy, so I just copy and paste in here. This is the company location. This is the company location. This is the location of the company. This is the location of, this is the location of the company we are doing automation testing for. And here, company, was that what? Company address or location? I guess it was address. All right, so let us go and first of all, let me just save it in case something goes wrong. So I'm going to call this as demo environment variables. Okay, so that's how I'm saving this test, demo environment variables. Right. Okay, now if I undo this, the message box with the test name, it should show me, and I can say the current test is, the current test name, the current test name. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Let us go and then run it, and let's see what's going on in here. Okay. Number one. The current test name is demo env variables. Okay. Just now we created. This is the value from the trainer environment variable Irfan, and this is the value from the app results variable 0. This is the value for the search text variable TrainingRite. And this is my current action name. So far, so good. Now, this is from the external, right? This is the company we are doing automation testing for, TrainingRite.com. This came from that external file, right? Okay, this is the location of the company we are doing automation testing for, New York, right? This again came from the external file, all right? Well, there you go. So what we have seen is how to, okay, let's, summarize what we have done. We started with talking about environment variables, and we went in there and then we said, in order for you to look into the environment variables, you have to go into right-click test settings and go into the environment. And then there are two types of environment variables. There is built-in, and then there is user-defined. In the built-in, I showed you some of them like operating system, and I showed you test name, and then test directory, and things like that. And then I put it in those environment variables. This is how you will read them. This is how you read them. I showed it to you how to read that. And then basically I showed you that you cannot assign any value to it because these are like built-in ones. Then we went in and then we created some new environment variables. Those were internal. The way we created was putting this plus sign, clicking on the plus sign. When we click on the plus sign, it gives you the option of like name value, and then like you could have name and value, and then that's how you go and then you create the environment variable. After you create the environment variables, you could come in here and then you could read them the way we were reading environment trainer. And then in an actual test, this would have some value like the build number, right? Because your manager is going to give you the build number or the start date of this test and expected submission date, stuff like that. So you have to read all that from the environment variables. So you have to either those environment variables are internal or external. Then I showed you as how to take the values of the internal variables and export them in the form of an XML. Then we created an XML, like we make believe that your boss is giving you that XML file and you have to load it back into this. So I showed you as how to create the XML, environment XML file, external environment variables. And then we loaded it in here. And after we loaded it in here, I showed you as how to run them and how to read them and all that. The beauty of environment variables is right now we are working with only one this test, but one action. If I go ahead and then insert another action, then call to new action. If I go and insert, and this is I'm just gonna go and then insert this action. This is another action. Here, if I call the environment variable, I will say message box and environment, and then I will go ahead and say a company. This is the external one, right? Company name, right? So this is altogether, I would say this is coming from another action, right? And now you might be wondering, like, what are these actions and all that? In my other videos, I have explained in great detail, what these actions, different actions and all that, right? So if you watch that, then that's well and good. If not, you just go and then watch that. Okay, so I'm gonna be running this, right? And when I do that, again, the current test name is that. So it goes and runs everything, and then this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. This is the company name. That's fine. That's fine. Now let's watch after this what happens. Okay, this is coming from another action. And this is TrainingRite.com because that's the company name. This is coming from another action, and the test is over. So here, depending on how many actions you have, this could be your a test case for login. This could be your text case for order entry. This could be, so basically these actions are nothing but different. So between the actions you can share, or you can go ahead and then use those environment variables. All right. Well, that's about it for the environment variables. Thank you so much, and keep practicing. And if you're not a student of this course, go to www.trainingrite.com and look into the different courses we have for you, and we'll be more than happy to take your questions if you have any at sales@trainingrite.com. Well, see you in a next video with another interesting topic. Be safe.